Hey everybody, this is Jackie from the Australian Incupod. Today we have Natalie on. She is the founder and CEO of My Green World, a youth-based social enterprise that focuses on raising the profile of wildlife and environmental issues. Part 1 of this interview explores how Natalie sold her car and used all her personal savings to bootstrap her passion project, which turned into My Green World. Her experience in growing a business in an extremely crowded market and finding the right team members who share the same values. She will be joined by co-host Brendan and I.
I'm gonna record, yeah.
Let's get started.
Okay, you're listening to Australian Incupod. I'm your host Brendan, and today I'm with Jackie, and we have Natalie on. She's the founder and CEO of My Green World.
Hi guys.
Hey there, Natalie. So can you just tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name's Natalie Kiriakou. I run a wildlife and environmental education company called My Green World. So we develop education technologies to engage young Australians in wildlife and environmental sciences.
So how did the idea come about?
I spent a lot of time traveling around the world, particularly working and reporting on wildlife crime, both for my degree in journalism and as a freelance journalist. And I spent a little bit of time in Borneo working with orangutans who had been impacted by the palm oil industry. And I returned to Melbourne and I wanted to find a way to engage young people in wildlife and environmental issues and to teach them more about some of the atrocities that were happening all over the world as well as in Australia. But I wanted to do it in a really positive way. So I came up with My Green World.
So you originally came from a journalism background. Was there a reason why you kind of skewed towards animal welfare? Was it purely because of the orangutans, or have you just always loved animals?
I've always loved animals. I've always enjoyed nature. My background wasn't just in journalism; it was sort of quite broad. I did a master's in international relations and I'd worked in marketing and corporate social responsibility. It wasn't one particular issue. I was just passionate about social and environmental justice. And it started off as a passion project, really, that sort of got away from me and turned into a business. It brought together my interests. But I work across multiple fields as an advocate for a variety of issues. This My Green World was just a way that it became really impactful working with children.
Okay. So at what point did you notice kind of like from it being a passion to something that you could actually work full time on?
Yeah. It was probably just about a year ago, actually. I started it while I was still at uni and it was getting more attention, more kids were getting involved. There were families reaching out to me, and I realised that this was something that was actually working. It was kids were enjoying some of the programs that we were delivering, and I was enjoying running the business, and I was enjoying learning everything there is to learn about business. So yeah, it was probably about a year ago.
So in the early stages of My Green World, what do you think were the biggest challenges?
I had no idea what I was doing. The biggest challenges were funding, people ways to get money, because I was launching an app through My Green World, and for people that have ever developed an app, it's extremely expensive and it can be really, really difficult. So the funding, and also human resources, getting the right people, people that you trust, people that are good at what they do, people that are passionate. That can be difficult sometimes. A lot of the people in my network or my broader networks that I would have loved to have on board, they already were doing a million things. So yeah, that was difficult as well. But I'd say funding would be number one.
Yep. So just touching on teams. So one of the reasons why a lot of startups fail in Australia is because startups can't find the right team members.
Yeah.
Could you just give us a bit of insight what you look for specifically in finding the right team members for you?
Yeah. I think I look for some shared values across the company. So obviously passion and values are extremely important. They don't necessarily have to have years and years of experience, because a lot of the it can all be taught. But I think I normally would just go for people that are passionate, excited, and with mostly shared values.
So there are a lot of charities out there,
Yeah.
especially in animal welfare and third
Yeah.
world problems.
Yeah.
So would you say that it's a point where it's almost desensitized? And how do you think My Green World deals with this?
Yeah. So that was when I was setting up My Green World. One of the main reasons we didn't set up as a traditional charity was because we didn't want to compete with other organisations that were already doing similar work in the wildlife and environmental sector. The non-profit space in Australia is extremely crowded. So the aim was to become a fully sustainable business where we aren't taking donor dollars away from other organisations. The way, and I think sometimes the message can be diluted a little bit, especially around wildlife and the environment. It seems that there's a lot of talk of Armageddon coming. It can be really negative, and people get overwhelmed by this, by all these negative stories around the environment. They don't know what to do. It's overwhelming. So the point of difference for My Green World would be we try to create positive messages for children. We see children as hugely influential around the world, and we want them to feel empowered and excited to take part in wildlife and environmental activism or education. We don't want them to feel overwhelmed and like they can't participate. So, we're slightly different in that we're trying to make wildlife and environment cool and fun and accessible for all young Australians. We try not to focus too much on the doom and gloom. While that is we can't avoid it. There are terrible things happening all over the world, and people need to know about them. But that's not our sort of marketing message.
So why do you target children?
Well, they're inheriting the planet from us, and they're going to be faced with the most severe consequences of climate change, habitat erosion. So, and added to that, the entire jobs industry is changing for them. So 20 years from now, I think that they really need to be prepared for what the world is going to look like. It's going to be a different place. Added to that, I think that children have a really powerful and influential voice.
Towards their parents?
Their parents and just the broader community. And the children that I've worked with, they're excited, they're open-minded, and they're optimistic about the future for wildlife and the environment. They're passionate about it. So I guess when their parents were their age, climate change wasn't something that was really discussed or believed. Kids now, they believe in climate change. They want to make a difference. So the kids that we work with, they largely, they're behind us and they're excited to get involved.
Yeah, I think kids are definitely a tough market to reach though.
Yeah.
Yeah, was it a challenge at the start?
Not necessarily. I think that it's only difficult in that social media and the platforms that we would use to engage children are crowded, and there's a lot of noise. But I think that we have a really positive message, and we've had a lot of kids actually reach out to us as well. So it hasn't been too difficult. The next step would be, or the current step is working more with schools. And schools, that can be difficult just because there's crowded curriculums and teachers have a lot on their plates. But overall, working with kids, it's been quite easy because we have fun products for them, a fun team, and positive messages.
Could you just give us a bit of insight into some of the programs you guys run?
Yeah, sure. So we have our mobile game app, World of the Wild. So World of the Wild, it's available in the App Store, and basically kids can download it for free and they build their own world, and they can become virtual wildlife heroes or conservationists. So in the game, they rescue species from all over the world, and they will learn about that species and some of the threats that species is faced with. For example, Miko the orangutan was an orangutan that I personally met in Borneo, and he is featured in the app, and you can learn about Miko, his history, his endangerment status, and kids sort of can work towards saving these species and learn about how they can help them in the future. And the app also has pop quizzes, so you can connect with your friends or people on Facebook and compete in pop quizzes. And each animal within the app represents a real life charity that users can donate to. So we have 18 partner charities that we work with. Added to that, we have news. So we have our wildlife and environmental news section. And we have Kids Corner, which is a digital classroom that's rolling out next year. And that's got different subscription models, but one is for individuals. So for parents and kids at home on weekends, we have activities and education materials on a whole range of topics from food insecurity to habitat loss to in species around the world, biology, evolution, climate change. So it's quite broad. And we also have a subscription model for schools and hospitals. Yeah.
What do you find the kids are the most interested in? Which section do they like the most?
It varies. We've run a few surveys. Generally, from our results, we've seen significant interest in marine life, so plastic in oceans and those sort of threats, climate change, wildlife extinction and animal welfare. They're the ones generally, but it's so broad. They're a lot of the surveys we did. They were just interested in everything. There was no area where the kids sort of reported that they had absolutely no interest in this topic. It just sort of revealed that the kids that we're working with at the moment are passionate activists about a whole range of topics. And I think we can see that on social media anyway.
Yeah, I think just to bring it back for a second, you said one of the biggest challenges for you guys was funding.
Yes.
And developing your mobile app is extremely expensive.
Yes.
So how did you guys go about getting the funding and developing that mobile app?
Yeah. So the app almost came before, did come before the company even was set up properly. I bootstrapped most of it. So I put my life savings into the actual, into developing the app. And I sold my car. And then I ran a crowdfunding campaign, and I hosted an event. And that was largely friends and family in that network. I think most other entrepreneurs would say that at the beginning, if you're bootstrapping, it's the people that get behind you are your friends and family for the funds. And that's what I did.
If you could go back in time, is there anything you would change about it, or?
No. It's there's been a lot of highs and lows, and I've certainly made mistakes, but it's been a huge learning experience. So there's nothing I would change.
No. What was that like at the time? Like having to sell your car, spending all your savings on this app? Yeah,
it was scary, but really exciting. I went all in, and it felt. I don't know. It was really, it was a difficult choice to make, but it felt right. It felt like I was investing in something that I was really passionate about. I was investing in something that I thought would have a strong impact on the Australian and global community. I was investing in myself a little bit. So it was exciting.
Were there any side influences like family that were like, don't do it, or like do it?
No, actually, my family are hugely supportive, so I'm really, really lucky like that. They were excited for me. I'm sure they were worried, but no, I've had a lot of support. There have been people along the way that have had their doubts, but that wasn't my family or close friends. They've all been really supportive.
Yeah, so a lot of startups in Australia, they kind of get stuck in that stage before they launch and they execute. They're stuck making business plans, how they're going to market to people, how they're going to target market. Yeah. Did you do any of that stuff, or did you just go straight into it?
With the app, I just I did a lot of research, but it wasn't probably the sort of research that they would teach you to do in business school. I guess I was flying by the seat of my pants a little bit, and that was why I probably made more mistakes. And as the company progressed, I did more research, more surveys, business planning, and started actually running a business and moved away from just being a student that was launching an app who had no background or experience at all. So it was a little bit of both. It was learning while I was moving, and My Green World has from the very beginning been a very agile, sort of lean business. It's been learning as I go.
So that was part 1 of our 2-part interview with Natalie from My Green World. Part 2 of this interview will be released within the week. Remember to subscribe, like and follow Australian Incupod on our SoundCloud, iTunes or Facebook accounts to stay updated. And thanks for tuning in.